Hi everybody, this is Oksana and this is going to be my video on getting started with wire wrapping. If you are interested in it, I've made a lot of videos on my channel about like a tutorial how to make a pendant or how to do like little aspects of a pendant, like certain like little weaving wrapping techniques. So if you're somebody that's interested in it and you want to get started, kind of the basic materials that you will need, this is what I'm going to cover and where to get them. So when I first got started, I got this set of little tiny tools that look like this. There's these cutters, there's these pliers, there was also some round nose pliers that are lost somewhere, and I think that was it. I think there was just 3 of these things and it was really cheap. I bought it at Michael's and it was maybe, I think it was less than $10, and you can always get those 40% off coupons that Michael's has on their website that you can pull up on your phone, or you can have it texted to your phone or print it out. So it ended up being really cheap with a coupon, and these served me well. The cutters were really hard to cut thicker wire with. But the rest of the tools were fine. Sometimes they're kind of nice because they're so tiny and you can really get into crevices and stuff. But eventually I looked into getting some better tools, and I got some better cutters, or whatever these are called. Let me show you up close. They just have a little, you know, they cut. I officially don't know what everything's called because this is something that I just kind of taught myself. I went to the store, I grabbed some things, so I'm just sharing my experience with you. And the next cutting tool I got was the same as this one. It had the same purple and black, you know, handle. It was just like this, and it actually, I don't have it because it snapped. Like, I thought it was metal because it looks metal, like all of these look metal, but somehow when I was cutting a wire, it just snapped. Like one of these little pieces just broke, so I threw it out. So I don't necessarily recommend that one. But these bent pliers have been really nice. They're nice to really get into places. They have a nice little point, and the fact that they're bent kind of helps. I would say, you know, if you really want to save money and you're not sure if this is going to be something you want to do, you don't want to waste money, then get this little set. It's really cheap. But if you want to start out with better tools, they're not that expensive either. They're also like 10 bucks, but now you're just getting one tool instead of all 3. And you know, get the coupon, so these will be cheaper. But I would get these bent pliers. I would definitely get the round nose ones. Here's round nose ones. These you use for making all your little loops and curls and all that stuff. So these are extremely handy. And the cutting tool, I ended up finding this one, which is amazing. I wish this was the first one that I bought, so I didn't, you know, go through those other ones. I think it's called like a nipping tool or something, but it's very sharp. It cuts extremely well. It has a very kind of fine tips. You can really get in there and cut something close to where you want to cut it. So this works extremely well. All of these are from Michael's or AC Moore. I think most of them are from Michael's, but AC Moore, you know, sells the same things. And then this isn't as necessary, but it's definitely really useful. And these are nylon pliers. And here is what they look like. So what they are is they're like pliers, but they have this little plastic part up here. And sometimes you have a wire and it gets a little bent. It's especially useful with the really thin wires because they get all, you know, bent as you're working with them sometimes, and they look all bumpy. So you just take these and you just straighten it out, and it makes it nice and straight and like looking brand new again. And it's, you know, it doesn't damage the wire. You cannot do it with these pliers because they're not going to give you that slip. It's just going to like scrape the wire and remove the coating or the color. Some wires are colored with a colored coating, and some wires are just this color by nature, and they're just coated with a clear coating to keep them from, you know, getting tarnished. So then the last tool would be something like this. This is a clamp. It is a spring clamp because it's got a spring in there. And this was in my toolkit that I had, just a regular toolkit with like a hammer and screwdriver, and it had this in it. But you can get them in a like a Home Depot, Lowe's kind of store, I'm assuming. I think they're a pretty common thing that are used in, you know, all kinds of projects. So what I use that for is to hold the wires. And if you've seen my videos, my tutorial videos, I a lot of times will just, you know, have the wires sticking out of here because it's nice. They don't move around just in the beginning. And then once you got wrapped around the wires a few times, and they kind of hold themselves. So now let's talk about the actual wire. So it really depends on the project that you want to do. Most of my wire, especially at first, was from Michaels and AC Moore. This big roll of wire is from AC Moore. Michaels sells smaller ones that look more like this. And this was relatively cheap. I think it was like $3.99. So again, depending on if you have a coupon, really cheap. You get a lot of wire. I like to use 20 gauge wire for the thicker wire and 28 gauge wire for thinner wire. This is the brand Bead Landing, and this is 28 gauge. And I find that this wire thinness, the bigger the number, the thinner the wire, it works really well for wrapping around the other wire. Like, it makes it flexible enough and, you know, like bendable and all that stuff, but not too much. If it's a little thicker, if it's a 26 like this one, it's a little tougher. It's not quite as soft. So I find that 28 really is the best. Thinner wire than that, it's okay, but it's like more likely, especially if you're a beginner, that you might like break it, because wire does break. If you bend it one too many times or get it all tangled and pull on it, it'll break, especially the thinner wires. So you do have to be careful with them. But the 26 gauge, this is, you know, slightly thicker than that 28, is really useful for making those little bird's nest pendants. And I don't have a video on that because there's already like a bazillion videos and blog tutorials on that and all that stuff. So you can pull those up if you're interested. But I thought those were really cute. And if you are interested in a bird's nest pendant, making one of those, then I think that that is something that you should start with, because that is like the easiest project that you can make, and it still looks really, really cute and nice. So if that's something that you want to make, then I think you should start with that and use 26 gauge wire, and you just need tiny little beads. It's kind of like the cheapest thing to start with, the cheapest, easiest project. So, and then after that, you can use a 20 gauge and a 28 gauge together. And just to show you what that looks like, this is what I have a tutorial on my channel. So I have the thicker 20 gauge wire with the thinner wire all wrapped around it. Oops. Here's the back of it. And I like to add like little beads. Sometimes you'll see that. So that's something that you might want to get if you are planning on doing that. But the most important thing, of course, is the stone. Using a stone right here. And I think this stone is 25, somewhere between 20 and 25 millimeters. So just to give you an idea of size, I buy a lot of them on the internet. I've bought some on Etsy. I've bought some on eBay. There is a store by me that sells gemstones that I have bought some there. They're a little bit more pricey, but it's nice because you can go there and touch them and look at them. So it's kind of helpful. And when you're buying them on eBay, which is kind of the cheapest place, a lot of times they'll come in a set. Like this is a chevron amethyst, and it came in like a long string of a whole bunch of them, and it's pretty cheap. It's bidding, so it depends on, you know, if you get lucky and your bid is low and you get in, or if a bunch of other people are bidding and it jacks up the price. It just depends on the deals that you get there. But it is, you know, a pretty affordable place to get gemstones, so I do get some from there. This one I bought on Etsy. This is a gold sheen obsidian. So these are just some extra pendants that I have that I am that are like in my to sell pile, and then most of them I make for myself because this is like a hobby. It's not a business, and I feel like if I start making them to sell, then I might lose some interest. It'll start to feel like a job. So I make them for myself, and every once in a while, maybe I have an idea of something that I don't want to make for myself, but I want to try making to kind of try out a concept. So I'll make that and have it as like a spare to sell, or to give as gifts to, you know, family and friends. And sometimes I'll make something for myself and it doesn't come out how I want it, and I want to make another one just like it but slightly different. So then the first one I'll sell, because I don't need two of, you know, very similar things. So here's another one that I'm selling as well. So this stone is a howlite, and these are really cheap stones, and it kind of depends on how lucky you get. Some of them can look really pretty and can have really cool designs, and some of them just don't look as pretty. I like the way this one looked personally, but you get just a big assortment when you buy them on eBay, and it's kind of random what you get. And they'll have a picture from the sellers that I typically buy from, will be like Beads of America or Bead of America and Top Gem Bead. And there's a couple of others that I can't think of right now, but they all have very similar looking pictures and listings to each other. And the picture will represent the whole lot. So your gemstones are not going to be exactly like in the picture. They're just going to be roughly similar to the ones in the picture, you know, for the most part. Like sometimes it's the exact gemstone, but usually it's not. So it just depends on how lucky you get. But if you're just starting out and it's not a big deal, it's a pretty cheap way to acquire gemstones. And if you want to get more fancy with it and, you know, get little beads, I got all the beads from Michaels. I got this little dangly crystal from Michaels as well. So they have really great sales and get great coupons at Michaels and AC Moore. So that's a great way, you know, to get something. And you can get stones there as well, but I haven't seen too many. I like to use these kinds of round stones. Sometimes I use the teardrop shaped ones, and I haven't seen too many like that really appealed to me, because I like to use real genuine gemstones, and a lot of the ones at Michaels and AC Moore, they'll be like dyed and colored, and they'll be like faceted, and I want just like a plain polished gemstone. And another thing that I forgot to mention that I do want to touch upon in case you haven't noticed, but these stones are all drilled through. So I have a wire going through. So it's a round bead with a hole, you know, top down going through it. And I find that the easiest to work with. It doesn't have to be round, but I find that when the hole goes through the stone, it's much easier to work with it. I have made pendants with beads where the hole is like through the top, like say it's a teardrop and has a hole right at the top going through this way. It's a little tougher because then you have to kind of cover up that hole. You put a wire through it and you have to find a way to kind of cover it, and the gemstone just kind of like hangs, versus the way that it's secured here by the wire going through it, you know, all the way top down. So I find like those are a little tougher. So I would probably recommend starting with ones like that. And I forgot to mention this, but one other place that I bought wire from has been from Fire Mountain Gemstones or something like that, and it's the Zebra Wire. It's just a really huge online store of jewelry making supplies, and the Zebra Wire, so this is 20 gauge, this is 28. What's nice about it is that it comes in a whole variety of colors, whereas if you go to Michaels and AC Moore, you're gonna get like copper, gold, brown, silver kind of tones, but you're not going to get purple or green, or sometimes you get black, but it's hard to find it in the right, you know, size that you want. So I ordered the Zebra Wire online because I wanted specifically 20 and 28 gauge, and I really like the combination of purple and black. I know you can't really see that very well because it's dark, but so yeah, that's another place where you can get wire. It's relatively affordable, not quite as cheap as Michaels if you know, because in Michaels you can use coupons and here you can't, and you have to pay for shipping, but they have deals and they have special shipping deals, and I actually bought this together with my mom. She makes a different type of jewelry, so she needed some things to buy from there as well, so we kind of split, or together we got to the free shipping amount, I think is what it was. So that is another place to get wire. But yeah, that's about it. I think that's all that you really need to get started. Hopefully this was helpful. Check out my playlist. I'll leave it linked below to all of my wire wrapped tutorials. And that's it. Let me know if you have any questions, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you later. Bye.